Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're taking a deep dive into something pretty interesting, the Certified Counter Terrorism Practitioner credential. That's CCTP for short. We've got a real expert perspective for you on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. We got the chance to speak with Dale Smith. He's a security consultant. So he's really been putting this certification to work.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm always curious about how these certifications actually translate to real-world results.
Right.
And Dale, he really had a lot to say about what makes the CCTP stand out. So let's dive in.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the things that Dale really emphasized was the practical focus of the CCTP. He said that it's very different from some of the other programs out there. A lot of them can be kind of heavy on theory.
I can imagine. Yeah.
But he said the CCTP, it actually gives you tools and techniques that you can use day to day. He actually used the phrase easy to digest. And he said that's really important to him because he's often explaining these complex security concepts to clients and even colleagues, who might not have that same level of expertise.
So like that clear communication piece, right?
Absolutely.
And that's got to be so key in this kind of field where you're dealing with, potential threats and you need everyone to be on the same page. Mm-hmm. So what sort of practical tools are we talking about here?
So Dale gave a really great example about risk assessment. You know how obviously that's a foundational part of security planning?
Of course, yeah.
He said that the CCTP breaks it down into a really clear step-by-step process.
Oh, interesting.
And he said this isn't just a theoretical overview.
Right.
You actually come away with practical tools that you can use to, identify and evaluate potential threats and then come up with a plan to address them.
Okay, so that's good for someone who's maybe newer to the field. But I'm curious, what about someone like Dale?
Yeah.
I mean, he's already a seasoned professional who's been doing this for a while.
Yeah.
What kind of benefits did he see from the CCTP?
So he said that, even though he already had a lot of practical knowledge just from his experience, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Years of it.
The CCTP really provided him with a more structured framework.
Right.
A way to kind of organize all of that knowledge and approach things in a more systematic way. He even compared it to having a common language to use when you're talking about these really complex security issues with other professionals and clients.
Interesting. So everyone's speaking the same language, same terminology.
Exactly.
That shared understanding can be so powerful when it comes to actually implementing, security measures.
Mm-hmm.
Did Dale mention any specific instances where the CCTP really made a difference in his work with clients? Like a real-world success story or something?
Well, he didn't necessarily give a single case study or anything, but he did say that he applies the principles and the techniques that he learned from the CCTP in pretty much all of his client interactions now. For instance, he was talking about how he used the CCTP's, the threat analysis techniques that are part of the program, to help a client totally revamp their security protocols after there had been a bunch of attacks in their industry.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to use that knowledge to understand the motivations behind those attacks and then help his client develop a much stronger security posture.
Okay, so it's almost like a preventative approach in that case.
Right, exactly.
Identifying those potential vulnerabilities before they even become an issue. I mean, that's going to be invaluable for any company, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of a key takeaway for all of us. When we're thinking about the value of this certification, it's not a magic wand that you wave. It's not going to solve all your problems instantly, but it gives you this really powerful set of tools and a framework to draw on.
It enhances what you already have.
Exactly.
I'm really curious, what else stood out to Dale about this certification?
So he talked about the CCTP alumni network. It turns out it's actually quite active. There are all these professionals out there who have been through the program, and they're sharing their insights, they're discussing best practices, they're supporting each other. And Dale, he even mentioned that he's hired several CCTP certified professionals for his own team.
Oh, wow.
Which really speaks to the level of trust he puts in the certification.
It's huge, yeah.
It's not just about the knowledge you gain, but also the connections you make and the credibility that the CCTP gives you within this field.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot about Dale's perspective, what he found valuable about the CCTP. What about our listeners? Let's kind of flip the script here. If you were in charge of security at a company, what aspects of the CCTP would be the most appealing to you?
Yeah, that's a great question to think about. Would it be those practical tools and frameworks that Dale was talking about? Would it be the professional network? Mm-hmm. Or maybe something else entirely? It's really up to you to decide what would be the most valuable for your specific needs, and goals.
I mean, this deep dive was really just a starting point, right? There's so much more to explore when it comes to the world of counterterrorism and the CCTP. I always encourage our listeners to keep digging, keep learning, maybe even connect with some of those CCTP alumni online and see what their experiences have been like.
Absolutely. I second that. There's always more to discover and learn in this field.
Exactly. And on that note, happy diving.